Hello, Music Multiverse listeners. Are you in for a treat? It's album review Saturday, episode 32. And yeah, Damn is here again. She's on the new album train. It's
Yeah,
moving rapidly and she can't get off now. She's stuck.
yeah, try.
All right. So if you don't know, article section, right? I write 3 articles. We get to pontificate further on this show. With links and such on there. And so you can go there, but you also get the low down and dirty with me and the 3 extras. You get Deb too. You got this whole thing is predicated on selection of 3 albums. And sometimes those 3 don't go so well. If you're new to the channel, that's fantastic. We're all about finding you new music, right? So you listen, and the all our programs kind of hinge on this idea of finding new things to listen to. But this show is all about new releases that are actually 2025. So that's that exposure. So feel free to check out all the other 850 videos that are available. Yeah, 850 as of today. This is 850.
Ooh, I can't wait to get my royalty check.
Yes. If you like that, you're going to be waiting a long time. Yeah. So anyway, if you like you see and what you're hearing, give us a notice that to subscribe, or if you're already subscribed, comments, keep them flowing. While we take the channel and music seriously, we don't take ourselves that seriously. So we just have fun doing this. Please let us know what you think. Comments, content, both. I do love the comment banter, education, position for all of you out there. So it doesn't matter whether you're a music filer like me or you're newbie or whatever. It doesn't matter. This is an odd album review Saturday episode. I'm going to start with 3 albums that were not selected. So you're getting 9 tonight. 9. Don't ask. I didn't write, and Deb didn't get to listen to it, I don't think, because I called her and said, yeah, scratch it.
Thank you very much. For that, I will do an extra show with you that isn't on my calendar.
Right? And okay, I want it to be clear too that she didn't get to listen to it because of me, and something horrible. So, listener's block. Is it a real thing? I'm not quite sure that it is. I've experienced this past listening session. Let's be clear about it, because my album listening experience does not start a few days before we do this, a week before we do this. I have to kind of gather and look at lists and see what's coming and really what I'm looking forward to, right? And sometimes there's weeks and weeks of there's nothing to look forward to. This doesn't mean there's nothing good or great or could be the album of the year. It's just what I know and what I'm expecting. It was just a bit troublesome. This started on my wife's birthday weekend. We're traveling to the wineries in Erie, Pennsylvania. And I started with this particular album that I had selected for this particular Saturday. And Whispers of Granite is the name of the band. And the album title is Liquid Stone. That features ex-White Willow vocalist Trude. I don't exactly know how to say her last name. I'm assuming Ed Tang, maybe. I don't know. With the keyboard and synth of Andreas Hack. All right, so we're talking about this synth, bleak, progressive rock, Norwegian style. All right.
Return to the darkness as we keep hiding in plain sight.
With undertones of probably all kinds of other genres. So you know how much I love the Norwegians. So she's singing, and I can't get past it. I don't know why. Is it the road noise? I can't hear anything past her vocal, which to me is flat, boring, and just someone singing with no emotional connection to the music, to the song, to anything. So how am I supposed to do with that? I do look over at my wife, and I don't know. There's just, right? I can't unhear it. I'm not absorbing it. at all. And this is drowning out probably most of what's happening with Hack's composition. Switch it now. Sue makes one comment about it. I don't remember what it was. I can't tell you, but it wasn't positive. All right, but that doesn't mean the album's not good. I'm just throwing that out there that I couldn't get past it, and I certainly couldn't write about it. All I would be doing is going and talking about it, the vocal. So now I just say, okay, let's go to Split Chain. This is like a metalcore, new metal band, and was the title? I don't remember. No, something Blur, Motion Blur. English new metal band with genre wise. So I'm expecting this aggressive with a today's spin, but everything on those kind of bands leads in a crescendo. There's always about the crescendo and the unexpected vocal exploitations that riddle this genre always, right? So they are also now signed to Epitaph Records. So I remember Epitaph Records. I remember Offspring and Bad English, or no, not Bad English. Holy cow, Bad Religion. Wow, there's a mistake. So I'll give it a shot. So dazzle me. All right. But the real reason I had is because they were described as new gaze. So new metal meets shoegaze. I'm like, okay. Oh, get ready for Smashing Pumpkins crescendo to evil vocal, right? And I am literally, don't know what to expect in that regard. So what happens is I start to take it on and I go, this is like Saliva, Power Man 5000. There's nothing. It's like a really bad Korn impression that's compressed and just, I don't know. I nope, I can't.
No, two down.
Yeah, and I don't know what to write. It would be writing like the same thing over and over again. Like it's a new metal band, nothing, right? The vocal did nothing. There was nothing. So that's just for me. You might have seen them live, and it's a different experience, and maybe you like the album too. Please put your comments in. I'm not. So strike three, maybe I go to Paul Weller. I say screw rock. I'm going with old-fashioned English guy, pop, Beatles-esque kind of, and singer-songwriter extraordinaire to some degree. He decides to do covers. I didn't know that. It says find El Dorado. All right, I've been to El Dorado. I found it. It's on the map. God damn it, I don't know why I can't find it. But it's all songs that he loves, and he does a wonderful job of attaching to it. The choices are not of the norm, and you go from the Kinks to the Bee Gees. I Started as a Joke is the one song he chooses. I don't know that song. And then they finish with Robert Plant singing with him, doing Clive's song by Amish Amok. I don't even know who Amok is.
That's crazy. You know everybody, Mark.
There's brilliant jazz blues grooves in this Lottie Rolla, which is from the Gorillaz. Not the Gorillas.
Not the Gorillas.
This is 1969, baby. It's good stuff. I couldn't write about it. Couldn't find a place. Weller's incredible, but I couldn't devise a single word to put it to an article. So listener's block, writer's block. Welcome to Album Review Saturdays 2025, episode 32.
Oh, no.
There's your first three albums that you weren't expecting. and now the real three, right, which are sitting here behind me. All right, let's start out with Agropelter, the Book of Hours. All right, Ken Golden, Professor of Prog. This is your band. He's a progressive rock lover. If you want to hear about progressive rock and you want to hear it from the man himself, this is the guy you go to. So anytime he's like E.F. Hutton. When he speaks, I listen. All right. Do I always agree with him? No, that would be foolish. He likes the Straubs. They couldn't even finish their name. Straubs. It could have been strawberries, but we did Straubs. When he mentioned he was all in on this band and he produced, got the record out, this is him. I'm like, okay, all right. Now look at that cover. That's a mean ass cover, right? Okay. All right. The Book of Hours is a delightful, instrumentally progressive experience that delivers to an exact, but also to go in places that, might not be exactly typically expected, right? And he doesn't, I love it that when he talked about this the first time around, he didn't really set this up. I don't know if that's intentional because he's been in the business a long time. He sells records. He's got his own record store. You can go there, but he makes them and sends them out and reopens bands and redoes catalogs. So let's start off with some great comparisons I find, right? While this is kind of a keyboard mellotron driven synthesizer melody kind of thing going on. So that's the glue of the band. So, okay, so you get Genesis, those background keyboards and Moog movements. Then you got the yes part, right, which is the accelerated, highlighted solos, right? And then you get the King Crimson stuff, which is more technically savvy and delivered. So this band's got just checking all kinds of boxes for the prog people, all right? You're living in your wet dream at this point, right? So then there's heavy influence of that Norwegian progressive scene, which always has that strong impression musically. And when I say that, I'm talking about that soundscape of generously moody designed movements, and I obviously it's have a darkened nature because apparently the sun never shines there. It does. Whatever. Now they're angry at me, and now I don't get access to the country anymore. So it's a decent amount of heavy weight on this Book of Hours. On this level, this is a very, very, very good album, and it's inviting for all kinds of standardized, progressive rock fans for sure. Okay, you're gonna dig it. This is what happens when there's not a vocalist because you're paying attention to everything that's there, right? It does allow you to concentrate. So, which I really seem to fall in love with after the amount of musical debauchery that happened prior. I needed to, I didn't know it was instrumental. I don't think I remembered him saying whether it was or wasn't. So thank you. So, all right. Now let's get to where Kay Olsen takes this to another level instrumentally. I call it the Phantom of the Progressive Classica. All right. This album sits in that this Bach and Rachmaninoff kind of thing, right? With piano and Phantom of the Opera. He's playing some organ on the Downeaster Alexa, or for that, like Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean, the octopus with all the, was it Davy Jones, maybe? I don't even know.
The Kraken.
Yeah, the Kraken's playing wow. You get this whole idea of this cathedral organ, but the organ is not in a cathedral. It's some dark, danky place. So that gets you your home by the sea moment if you're a Genesis follower. You get that idea. But it's mixed with those yes solos, the Crimson kind of symphonic. Although it doesn't seem symphonic, it seems more opera than it's symphonic. So, damn. Yeah, I don't know Agropelter. You don't know Agropelter. A brand new band.
No.
And you're a progger to a
Yes, I
good
am to
degree.
some degree. Yeah.
All
I
right.
mean,
So
depending on
lay it
how
on
it's
us here.
done. Okay. Well, first of all, do you know what an agripeltar is?
No.
Okay. It's a mythical, fearsome critter who inhabits hollow trees from Maine to Oregon.
Really?
That's why I was surprised they were from Norway. Maybe they have the same creature in Norway. I
Maybe
don't
with
know.
I think it basically just described a beetle. I would.
Maybe, but there's no surprise to look up what their influences were. You've already named everything. I mean, it's very apparent even without researching it, and heavily influenced by Bach and Beethoven. And you can tell. This is very layered. It's real. There's nothing simplistic about this album at all. There's so much to listen to, but it's still cohesive. It's not like it's all over the place where it's not like having ADHD. So even though it's layered and complex, it's easy to listen to. The flute is appropriate, unlike Jethro Tull. So I did find the flute very interesting in this because it was more in the background and more light, and it wasn't, like the Pied Piper was trying to get us to follow him down the path. Um, the one that I really liked was Book of Hours Part One. The way they kind of switched back and forth from heavy keyboard to piano. It was really inviting and sophisticated and held my attention because sometimes when you listen to these types of albums, you can't tell where one song stops, one song ends or begins. And it's just kind of like, wait, where am I? And this song, you knew this was a new song, but it had a couple songs within it because of going to the acoustic side. And I really enjoyed more of the acoustic type stuff, the non-electric type instruments in this because you don't hear that so much in prog. So I felt it was a throwback but new and very interesting. So I thank you for not having me listen to those other three after that description. And so maybe I have some more nice things to say about the rest of these albums, knowing what I could have been trying to talk about here on a Saturday.
It,
But
I
yeah.
didn't like again. He talks about it. I just all right. I put it on the radar, right? And the first song is "Flute of Peril," and I'm like, oh shit,
Oh, no.
Jethro Tull. No, it's not like that. But the Flute of Peril. Keep that in your mind as we get through this because it might come back again. So
Okay.
when you see this album cover, it doesn't scream spacey, or does
No.
it? All right. You're kind of you don't know what planet you're on. All right. You
Yeah.
just know that this shit's in ruins. All right. It's got that stoner look to it, but it's
Yep.
not stoner.
No.
It makes sense that this is like a Norwegian instrumental prog rock album. It just does. It's classically backed and an album. It's a real audio treat, start to finish. It takes creativity and story of the cover in a completely different and complex way than I would have imagined it. Right. And now maybe it makes sense afterwards after you're done. But the flute that makes sense in the construct, it's enhancing the sound, allowing us to kind of go from the fractured olden days to this futuristic thing that the keyboard, right? Because I'm like sitting there going, well, I immediately when I saw it, I'm like, okay, we're in the cathedral, we're in the olden days. There's not going to be guitar. It's going to be it's going to be sitar or that kind of thing. And no, all of a sudden it seems like I'm not saying Monster Magnet or anything. I'm just saying those keyboards are Yesian. And when I think of Yes, I don't think of yesteryear. I think of, I think of prog in that futuristic brain. So it's great. It works. I'm trying to break down the cover because there's something going on there that helps.
I don't know what that part is.
So anyway, the Professor of Prog knew what time it was. All right. It was time for the Book of Hours. However, I have a slight final mathematical calculative issue with this album.
Oh, no.
Yeah. With all due respect to Ken Golden and the band that made this extremely entertaining album at the expense of time, all right, The Book of Hours is only 45 minutes long. So how is it the Book of Hours? I've been gypped. All right. Is this just a section of the book? I got screwed.
They took the
Ken
commercials
Golden
out.
does he secretly have this book hidden somewhere in his room there that they do all the videos from? I want the rest of the book. I don't even know what I mean here, to be honest with you, but it does. It becomes this paradigm, right, of my progressive experience of 2025 with no further hours to be manifested. I will be forced to call this album forever forward as the Book of 45 Minutes. Lord Huron. You can't see the cover, probably this.
No.
It's a pretty cool cover. The Cosmic Selector, Volume 1. Man, I was expecting like a hand to read The Cosmic Collector, right? Are we in some I don't know, Marvel movie, right? The
Yes.
Cosmic Selector. He's gonna ruin the world, and the Avengers will come to save. No, all right. So let's take that and throw that aside. That's just me and my ridiculousness. I think I'm a sucker for Mark Lanigan. Modified, wispy, desert-soaked vocal. And the Cosmic Selector, Volume 1, hits me right between the ears with the opening track, Looking Back. And when I hear something like this, it's always about where it goes from there. What could it be? How deeper is this album going to go? And to my knowledge, Lord Huron is slightly limited in this vein that I'm going to go down. But because I remember Strange Tales back in 2015, and that was actually the final. That was the first album I listened to from, and that was the last album. I looked back through all my other records, and there's a couple other, and I didn't listen to any of them. So and I didn't even type them on my spreadsheet. So shame on me. So I figured it was time to catch up. This is 10 years later, 2025. If it's one thing I will say about the Cosmic Selector Volume 1 to end this opening that I'm starting here is that it's just that. It's patient. All right?
Yeah,
This
that's
is
a good
the kind
word.
of
Yep.
patience that pays off for them and for us, the listener. But, I don't have any patience. Let's go to Deb.
Well, they're known, obviously, Lord Huron comes from Lake Huron. They're from Michigan, and they spent a lot of time on Lake Huron. And they're from what I've read, and I don't know any of their other albums, but they're storytellers, usually of interconnected fictional world with characters spreading across albums. So I don't know if that would be helpful to the listener if they want to go back and listen to other albums and kind of use that as, I want to see if this is really what they're doing here. And it's not surprising that they name themselves as storytellers, being that their most influential artists are people like Dylan and Leonard Cohen and Bruce Springsteen and Neil Young. Okay, so yes, not that their music, you wouldn't listen to this and go, oh, there's a Bob Dylan there. It's just, I think their theory of how they want to write an album comes from more of what they like about those artists. And the song titles, the one that I really, really loved was Digging Up the Past. I think there was steel guitar on that, but it had kind of like a cowboy, old times in the past feel. And a lot of their songs did, but with more of, a contemporary sound to it. And I'm sure that has a lot to do with the production and things like that, if you're trying to compare it to things from in the past.
Yeah.
But I thought it was patient. Yeah, it was a really welcome one to go back and listen to after I listened to another one that's further down. So I think that some of these albums, my first listen through, I didn't appreciate them as much until one of the other albums I had to listen to on our list. And when I went, because I cycle through them, I don't listen to the one 4 times in a row. I
Okay.
listen to all of that. I kind of go in an order, and I try to go back in an order, and then I'll go back and I'll go, all right, this one I need to give a little bit more attention to, and I'll listen to it twice in a row and see if I'm mixing things up in my head and pouring too much information in there at once about 6 bands instead of one. And I'm getting better at figuring out my process, but you got 2 in a row here that I really enjoyed, and they were completely different from each other, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, and that's like a plus here. I didn't
Yeah.
come to the conclusion of this patience thing right away. It took me. I think I was in the third listen in the middle section of the album. So please understand that this was nothing to do with my likability of the record.
Hmm.
It just had to do with that this song. It all comes back.
all comes back to you. There's nothing to do. There's nowhere to go, and no one else to know. Just watching the darkness wave hello. You played me a fool. I heard your words, but none of them were true. I'd rather die than lie to you.
That's where I kind of made that connection. The idea of
Mhm.
indie rock is to have both a voice
Hmm.
and a delivery that feels independent from particular genres within the rock community. So Lord Huron on this track combines these kind of things, gorgeous, got patient lyrics and
Hmm.
meshing them in with strings, a lot of string, kind of reveling in the beauty of the structure of that moment that it started, if you recall, with a Hammond organ. That's it, and just the tender vocals, sad vocal, memories, making him a fool, making us a kind of a willing fool. And then it comes to the strings and the captivity of it stoically. So from that moment on, it's used to know, which suddenly sounded more determined, cosmically deliberate in the timing, forcing me to concentrate on that which is past the bass line and into the guitar version of waiting patiently until it can reach that plucking pitch that brings it all up. They could have started with that plucking pitch because it was catchy, but they didn't.
Hmm.
They waited for you. They knew what they were going to do, and it got there.
Hmm.
They chose not to, and for me, that's patience and passion to what they're doing in an indie rock creative sense, right? So, but is
Well,
this?
also you don't want them to throw that right out at the beginning and create some false sense of expectation as well. That's not how the whole album was going to be. And if that's what you grabbed onto and said, I like this, you might have been disappointed by the rest and not let it sink in. Yeah, I think it was placed very well.
Yeah, that
Agree.
lyrical content wouldn't have worked. You couldn't
Right.
take a cult opening, or a Rage Against the Machine opening, a wow 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 wow, and get that kind of thing, right?
Right.
So, is this folk? I'm
Mhm.
not sold on that genre defining moment of this, right? But I would
Mm-mm.
definitely give them a How Gelb meets Mark Lanigan, with that patient ear. Melodies of Bob Dylan was a touch. Jim James of My Morning Jacket would be another
Oh,
comparison that
yes.
kept coming to this.
Mm.
That wonderful. He's got this here and there vibrato. Doesn't
Mhm.
overuse it. It comes up
Uh-huh.
sparingly. Yeah, I
Mhm.
love that shit. That was awesome. So
Yep.
alt folk sticker, put it on it. Okay, whatever. The funny part here is the term volume, as the band itself doesn't really approach this needing a volume to bring it.
No.
So volume one must. Maybe there's another book. Son of a bitch.
Oh, my
They
other
they choose
15
a
minutes.
yeah. They choose a volume of substance here, I think, right? Strange melodies, geared to lightly intriguing you, patient again, very emotional. Life is Strange is another song that fits this string and melody mojo that Lord Huron weaves with a definitive signature. And I think this is their signature that if I go back, I'm going to start to really appreciate that their
Hmm.
command for it. So wait until you get to the fourth listen when you're listening to this, because you're going to start to get those subtleties, percussion choices, layers of discussion placement. What? Yes. All right. Seen people that talk about this. Kristen Stewart is on the record. She talks. All right. But she's not talking. She's kind of placement. It's
Yeah.
called the song Who Laughs Last, right? The dialogue of Kristen Stewart. They say it doesn't fit. Well, wait a second. While Bag of Bones is the true heavy hitter on the record, Who Last Last has an incredible line after line and position that is patiently waiting to unwind itself, and you got to wait for it. And I think that's I usually don't like that kind of thing being put in there, but I get it.
I know.
And so, a triumphant listeners album to release me from the listeners block that began this entire affair that we started with about, oh, I don't know, 20 minutes ago. So that leads us to another individual. Let's talk about Natalie Bergman. My home is not in this world. Well, I think she's mistaken here. Her home is very much in this world, just not in the same time frame that we're talking about. Like an Amy Winehouse, whose soul and musical lust was fueled by the 1960s girls groups and amped up with funk, punk, and a very distinctive, what do they call it, a contralto vocal? Look it up. Miss Bergman here is strangely vocally connected to the past, or so it seems to feel that way, even with the band I heard her first that drew me in. Won't mention that at the moment. The band's two-piece construction is very different from Natalie Bergman at this moment on this sophomore solo album. My home is not in this world, but the eclectic Third Man Records, who handles this lady, they understand the creative space and the musical creativity that's supposedly not of this world. So, yes, that dreaded easy word, throwback. I don't like it, but here the placement, the musical timing, and easy listening scope becomes much, much more. Damn.
She was raised, I believe, in Illinois by devout Christians. So then I kind of think about my home is not of this in this world, might have maybe something more to do with that. Not sure because we can't ask her right now, but if she's listening, let us know.
Yeah.
Not surprising that she has influences like Dylan, but Marley, that Bob Marley, that's in the Wailers. That's interesting. But of course, Etta James, right? So this is where you go, yeah, I can see that that's an influence, that feel of the 50s R&B is in this album, but surprisingly, it's not what it's all about. Um, Please stop, please don't go. That was an R&B feel, but more modern. That was more today's kind of R&B, but her voice still kind of harkened to the past. So it's her voice that I think it's more her voice than the whole compilation that feels more nostalgic and throwback, as you said. Um, Beautiful voice, just beautiful voice. And I don't know, this is her second album, you said?
Yes.
Okay. The one that I really loved because it made me actually visualize somebody going through the sunflowers, very light, the flute. You Can Help Me. I loved that song. It was just really pretty, and she's got a lot of talent, and I really didn't find too much about her background, as far as if she went to school, how she got her start in music, how old she is. I couldn't find a lot on her, so I was hoping that maybe you knew more.
I do. So I left it aside just in case you had
Yeah, I
your
did.
factual pieces. So she is one half of the Wild Bell, Belle. It's with her
Okay.
brother Nathan Bergman.
Oh, yes, yes, I did read that she was part of a
Yes.
do
So she was in her
duo with.
brother's band and she got booted from it.
Oh, I love that.
I don't know what the name of it was prior. There's a name from somewhere in there, but I don't know whether she got booted because but they wound up together doing their own things because they kind of fit.
Okay.
That's the first time I heard her, and even then, that vocals got so she has a deeper soul than most vocalists with her range. There's like a Tender Mercy, which we got a raw gospel like delivering and delving into on her debut album when she went solo from Wild Bell. for reasons we might not have understood at the time. So her parents die in an automobile accident. And this is a very raw gospel type of record with a, I don't know, old tethered process, but it sounds childlike in its mastering for me. So it wasn't as wowed by it. The
Okay.
first record, but her Wild Bell work. Her brother plays saxophone, I think, and
Okay.
but he actually, I think he plays on this record too because there's a sax moment on here.
Okay.
He might play other instruments too. I didn't really go into that one, but you can. Wild Bell's a very good band. They have, I think it's 2 records or 2 or 3 records. So get to the point where we talk about the production of My Home Is Not in This World. Has that scratchy record quality, but it also closes in on that 60s melody, psychedelic pop, and those simplicities which lend to the vocal of what she's doing. It leaves that childlike pitch that was in the first record completely off the record. So I get why she did it, but I get it. All right. So a humble before God kind of thing, and I'm a child of God. Okay. If it was intentful, maybe it wasn't, but her voice sounds way better on this record. Much more mature, much more like. Don't get me wrong. The other one was raw, heartfelt, and all that, but this is a better produced piece. So Stop, Please Don't Go is probably the easiest example of what I'm trying to explain here to appreciate the album. It can come from a subtle piano like it does for You Can Have Me. That kind of falls right in line with that light 60s pop folk and the vocal melodies. Or it can come from a mix of clap and percussion stuff and sax, like in the title track, which you wouldn't expected kind of thing. Flipping the script a bit with that gospel soul, but still produced and lingered in early recording styles with a heaviness this time in the 70s. So it's kind of trapped there. Bergman is suited to melancholy. There's no question about that. But one might say, but I think she's not a prisoner of it. She does have this hope kind of thing going on. And I think that hope stems from the idea of this Christianity and her placement in this world.
Agree.
I can easily say this is a blossoming record, despite that hold to the past. So some people like Jeff Young would probably be like, well, they're tricking the vocal. They're playing with it. Yeah. But there's reason. Not only does her vocal soak up the atmosphere, it reaches out and taps your soul and your hopefulness. And yes, it's obvious that her motherhood, is an exceptional teacher in the singer-songwriter relationship at this time. So I know she admits this in the interview, which is great because most of these people who are rock stars don't admit to those kind of things. They kind of want to keep their rock star persona, and this is the salt of the earth kind of person. So Natalie, associated with My Home Is Not in This World, has come together here, delivering a record that is very much grounded in this world, emotionally, from the instrument to her vocal. Whether it's with Wild Bell with her brother or in her solo career, Bergman is the subtle Amy Winehouse. You'll understand what I didn't at the beginning. She's not speaking to the sound of her music. She says, my home is not in this world. She is speaking to the spirituality and the feeling of eternal home. This concept of that. And I think that's where this is.
Yeah.
But a brilliantly done recorded record. And it might catch you off guard at the start. If you're not.
Yeah.
I know I already gave you 3, but let's go to 3 more. This time Deb got to participate, whether she wanted to or not.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. All right. So let's step into Bring Me the Horizon. Low Files. The British rock band started out in deathcore, metalcore, unpredictability, scope, practices, genre tampering. They got this ability to re-register their albums from going from that to metal, pop, and even like an ambient record with a stupidly long ass title, which should be illegal in the music industry, because it just goes on and on and on. The music to listen to, dance to, blah 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 blah. Right? But at the core, there's something in this, and this is, I don't know. There's no metal, there's no alt, there's no death, and there's something at the core of this. But let's find out if this kind of thing is not a good idea to me. All right, if you're a band, because if no one has heard you before, and this is the album they grab, this does not identify you in the grand scheme of things. In any way, shape, or form, even though something else is happening. So let's go over to Damn. I'm pretty sure Bring Me the Horizon has never been in her playlist.
No. And after I listened to it a few times and then did my research, I thought maybe I was listening to the wrong thing, like you just said. So I'm going, wait a minute, Pantera, Carcass, Chester Bennington, Linkin Park vocals, grindcore. I'm going, wait, I gotta go back to, I think I just wasted about 4.5 hours on the wrong album. So interesting. The name of their band is taken from a line that kind of is ironic that you made mention of Pirates of the Caribbean earlier today. But Curse of the Black Pearl, that's a line that was spoken by Jack Sparrow, Bring Me the Horizon. So interesting. Yeah, ambient ocean light. That's what I felt in this album. I felt that it was pleasant enough, but it was boring for me. I got bored. I did. And I hate saying that when I know they're obviously talented musicians. I don't know anything else about them. I think that maybe if I had listened to them prior, on their earlier albums, I would have been probably disappointed with this because I would have been like, oh, I'm going to get this and I got that. But since I didn't, I just based my whole critique on what I was listening to now. And even before I looked at what their background was and what kind of music they usually make, I still was a little off center with this. I felt like I was on hold on the phone forever. I kept going back to elevator music, but I went, no, not elevator music. On the phone, on hold, trying to get my cell phone fixed with, Verizon.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure that there's going to be people out there that love it. It's just not my thing. And I thought it was too much of the same thing.
Well, here's why they love it. Because this is chill out music. Okay?
Yes, for sure.
This has no moniker, no nothing.
No, and I wasn't smoking pot. So yeah,
No,
maybe that was a problem.
But here's the thing. All of these are their songs.
Oh, they are.
I don't know. I have the band multiple times in my collection. I can't
Oh,
hear
you
it.
mean that they're songs from before that they did in this style?
No,
Oh,
not in this style. These are pieces of their own music done in
that's what
lo-fi.
I mean.
Done
Okay,
in very
that's-
lo-fi, digitized environment, extremely tempered, and it's not even close to the ambient construct they did in 2019. That has guts and glory and stuff to it.
Okay. Okay.
This is just chill,
Yeah.
chill. Oh, and if you had that experience, of over the phone, you got it. Your chill sucks. So you don't like chill. So
No, I don't.
now, if you would have been listening to this and didn't have it as an assignment, and you were at a resort in Mexico with drinking an alcoholic beverage, you might be all right with
Absolutely.
it.
Yes, absolutely. I give them that.
It's
Okay,
rolling with the waves, maybe. I don't know. All right,
I'll
so
reassess that next time I'm in Mexico with my
yes,
margarita. Okay.
yes. So now let's get ripped and torn by Lifeguard. Let's punk out. That's what I thought anyway was going to happen. Wait a minute. Wait. This isn't what I was told. This isn't what I expected. I think someone messed up here because they told me that it's a hooky, catchy punk with tricks and some gnarly bass work. All right, I'll give the gnarly bass work.
Gnarly. That's a good word.
The bassist must have just, oh man, and everybody else went, let me play. Some of these people can't play.
Oh my
They're
gosh.
horrible. It's noise rock, okay? And there's a guitar player in here who's me maybe at the guitar. I don't know, or purposely trying to ruin the content. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
oh, Deb, you go. I'll finish.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, and okay, they cite their influences. I don't know if I want to say them because that's pretty insulting to the people that supposedly
Well,
influence them. Like
everybody starts somewhere.
I guess. Okay.
I mean, I love Phil Collins, but I can't play drums. And I can't.
True. So, the Ramones, Fugazi, then Jamaican import records they were into. They quote themselves as being punk meets reggae. I don't feel that at
Yeah.
all. I didn't feel that.
Nope.
The drummer's sister is in Horse Girl.
Oh, I remember Horse Girl.
Yeah, I knew you would. As soon as I said that,
not
I
for
go,
audio reasons I'd like to remember, but okay.
okay, so obviously this is something was happening in their house that
Yes.
when there should be a documentary, 4 parts. Um, they're very young. They formed in high school in 2019. They obviously weren't going to music class. That's all I can say. They had in certain parts Jane's Addiction, but really bad feel. Like
Yeah.
don't do that. And my last comment was I honestly can't tell if they can actually play instruments. I wrote
Yeah.
that thing. So I'm
Yeah.
glad we agree because I always hate coming on here and not having something good to say. I try to find something good to say. I have nothing good to say.
Yeah, the
Sorry.
description here is I find myself not even to be able to discern much of the lyrical content because of the disasters within. They're
Yeah.
attempting to directly interfere with their own success, right? If the
Yeah.
bass guy's laying it down, then let's let the vocalist now be heard. No, instead I've got this misheard irritation from Charlie's Vox. All right, I don't think Charlie can play the
that
box.
was awful. That was I have that one written down. Charlie's Vox. I go, oh my God, please.
And during that, it stops. Like they lost power and had to turn it back on again. And it doesn't start in the same whatever.
Vain. No, it doesn't.
Make me come to terms with Lifeguard because I feel like they let my kid drown in the pool. Because we were looking over at some noise that was happening over the fence line. Well, that's kind of cool. Was that a tire screeching over a cat? Wow, we should put that in our mute. No, don't. I don't know.
No.
This is for somebody else. All right. The album ends on an acronym, TLA, which stands for, apparently it's a military term. All right. I don't think any of these people went into the military. No. It's temporary lodging allowance.
It was a threat between that or jail. Okay,
Yeah,
that's the only way they got close to the
But
military.
here's the funny part, okay? I love to teach people things and have fun.
Okay.
With
Okay.
So it doesn't lend itself to the lyrics at all. So that's temporary lodging allowance. But the actual acronym is the acronym. 3-letter acronym.
Really?
TLA.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. And it's the guitar playing here and the noise production that does me in from all the wrong angles. All right, let's be redeemed. All right, and Kokoroko. Tough times never last, and thank you, because tough times were going on in the audio world for me. And here comes this groove, funk, calypso, instrumentalism that can soothe, weave a story with the vocal, but also to a particular place. Kokoroko is a cool septet from the United Kingdom, kind of lovely musical hat wearing kind of thing. You got Afro jazz beats, you got a great combination of beat, island-like soul harmonies, supreme appreciation for the art of the collective experience. Especially, you got 7 people in your band. You know, everybody's probably got another profession because no one's making any money when you're paying 7 people. So it's a cultural wave of musicianship. So damn, we end on this. What's going on?
Well, Kokoroko means to be strong. Just wanted you to know that. And their influences, like you said, a lot of Western African sounds. I do disagree with the title of the album, Tough Times Never Last. Well, welcome to my life. You need to maybe call me up.
Yeah.
Not so true.
And spell tough right.
Yeah, really. Come on, they're English. They should be very proper.
Well, maybe it's an English thing. Tough times ahead.
You mentioned the harmonies. Yeah, I just can't wait. The harmonies in that song really struck me. They're beautiful, and we don't get to hear harmonies as much as we should. You know, you don't have the Eagles and bands that are known for just doing that. I know you're not a huge Fleetwood Mac fan, however,
Right.
they had some great harmonies, and when you get to hear that along with beautiful instrumentation, it just makes it even that much. I know I've used this word earlier in the show, but layered. And I think that that's what makes it interesting, even if you're not a fan of this kind of music, even if you're not somebody that's going to say, oh, Kokoroko has a new album, I need to go get it. If you listen to this, you can really appreciate their musicianship, their vocals, their talent, and especially coming off Lifeguard. These people are the epitome compared to
Yes.
Lifeguard.
Don't
And
get me wrong,
Lifeguard,
you can be not that good and Kiss. Anyway,
yeah. So enjoyed it. It was good. It's like I said, it's not my kind of music, but it was welcomed. And you know, I was kind of looking back at these albums outside of Lifeguard, and I went, God, they all kind of seem the same, but not the same. But the only thing I can say is they feel the same because I didn't feel agitated by any of them.
mhm.
So they were all pleasant in a different way, but and it didn't feel awkward listening to them all in a row either. They kind of, it wasn't like I was going from Corn to the Carpenters type thing, you know? So yeah, very nice for my first listen with them.
Nice. All right. So, what did you think of these albums? Let us know in the comments. Like what you like, leave what you don't. Subscribe to the channel for more if you haven't already. Next week, we're gonna hang out with some bitches. You'll just have to ride it with us. We're on the web at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Articles, videos, podcasts, that'll come sooner or later, probably later. Go Beyond Your Radio with us, a real music appreciation channel. This Sunday, we're going to a genius drummer. It's going to be a rough one. Thanks for watching and happy listening.
Bye.